Assalamu alaikum, dear friends. I'm going to explain various aspects of international business in this video, meant for paper 2 commerce NTA UGC NET or SET examinations. First of all, let me explain what is international business. International business refers to business transactions between two or more countries, either by private parties or the government. In these transactions, it may be sale of goods or services, whatever it may be. Then the importance of international business. Nowadays, due to globalization, the importance of international business is growing, and almost every country is trying to sh- have a share of international business increase day by day. Then the advantages of international business. The first of all, the first advantage of international business is the companies can capture new markets and consumers, and then we can have brand recognition, optimizing capital and human resources, new investment and growth opportunities, global and competitive environment. Then let us see the modes of entry into international business. Whenever a company wants to enter into an international market, it may enter into the market through these means. First of all, first one is exporting, second one licensing, then franchising is there, then turnkey projects are there, then it may go for merger and acquisitions. Two or more companies may merge together and form a new entity and enter into an international market. And then joint venture is an option where two or bigger companies go for a joint venture with the smaller companies, or two big companies of two different countries join together and form a new entity and operate in a different international market. And then wholly owned and subsidiary companies. Creating this kind of companies is also an option for entry into the international market. Let's see some of the theories of international trade. The first theory, which I'm going to explain, is the theory of mercantilism, which was propounded by which was very popular during the 17th and early 18th centuries in Western Europe, and it was based on the notion that governments should become involved in the transfer of goods between nations in order to increase the wealth of each national entity. Then the second theory of international business, which I am going to explain here, is the theory of economic development. According to this theory, there is a relationship between the size of internal market and average unit cost of production and export competitiveness. A firm operating in a country where the domestic market is large will be able to reach a high output level, thereby reaping the advantage of a large scale production. When a company has got large scale, when a country has got the advantage of large scale production, that is economies of scale, it can go for export and try to get more share in the international market. Then the next theory is Rostow's stages of economic growth theory. This was propounded by Walter W. Rostow during the 1960s. He attempted to outline the various stages of a nation's economic growth, and based on his theory, the notion shifts in economic development coincided with abrupt changes within the nations themselves. Then the next theory is the principle of absolute advantage. According to Adam Smith, he was the first economist to investigate and formally accept the rationale behind international trade. In his book Wealth of Nations, Smith used the principle of absolute advantage as justification for international trade. According to this principle, a country should export a commodity that can be used at a lower cost than a country than other nations can. Conversely, it should import commodity that can only be produced at a higher cost than other nations. Then the fifth theory of international trade is theory of comparative advantage. David Ricardo propounded this theory. he, he developed an important concept of a comparative advantage in considering a nation's relative production efficiencies as they apply to international trade. In Ricardo's view, the exporting country should look at the relative efficiencies of production for both commodities and make only those goods it could produce more efficiently. According to this theory, a country should go for production of goods for export purpose, which have low cost and which give an advantage to the country than any other country. Then factory endowment theory. Elie Heckscher and Bertil Ohlin theory of factory endowment address the question of the basis of cost differentials in production of trading nations. Each country allocates its production according to the relative proportions of all its production factor endowments, that is, land, labor, and capital on a basic level, and on a more complex level, such factors as management and technological skill, specialized production facilities, and established distribution networks. Thus, the range of products made or grown for export would depend on the relative availability of different factors in each country. Then, each and every country tries to protect its own domestic trade and commerce by putting some kind of barriers, which can be classified into two kinds, that is tariff barriers and non-tariff barriers. Apart from that, there are some other kind of barriers also. Tariff barriers are export tariff barriers, that is putting high uh, taxes or charges on export business. And then import tariff business barriers are there. These are the barriers like one of the important barrier for import is the customs duty. Many countries impose very high amount of taxes on goods imported into the country in order to protect their own goods and services which are produced by the local, that is domestic manufacturers. The next one is the transit tariff barriers are there. When goods are transported from one country to another country or one place to another place, then the countries involved in between, they charge very high tariffs in order to restrict international trade. Then non-tariff barriers are there. Then fixing some kind of quota for a particular country or particular commodity is one such non-tariff barrier. Next one is subsidies are there. For the goods which a country wants to promote, it will give more subsidies in the form of tax reduction or in the form of tax exemption or tax holidays, etc. Sometimes when a country wants to put brakes on production, that is import or export of any commodity, it will levy more taxes or cancel these subsidies. Then some of the other types of barriers which are imposed. First one is product and testing standards. Some countries fix very high testing standards in order to restrict entry of goods from other countries. Then embargoes is one of the barriers. Then local content requirements are there. Fixing very difficult local content requirements is one of the technique used by countries to restrict more entry of foreign goods. Then next one, administrative delays, wantonly delaying some kind of goods. When delay occurs, some kind of goods cannot be delayed for a longer period. In such case, what happens is the companies are discouraged from being exporting goods into that country. Then currency controls are there. Then controlling a particular currency or fixing a particular currency to be used for the purpose of international trade is one such barrier. So all these barriers are meant for protection of domestic trade or restriction of some kind of entry of some kind of goods into the particular country. The next topic which I'm going to discuss is the foreign direct investment, which is a very hot topic. Is foreign direct investment is when a company takes controlling ownership in business entity in another country. With FDI, foreign companies are directly involved with the day-to-day operations in other countries. This means They aren't just bringing money with them, but also knowledge, skill, and technology. Generally, FDI takes place when an investor establishes foreign business operations or acquires foreign business assets, including establishing ownership or controlling interest in a foreign company. FDI is an important monetary source for a country's economic growth. The best example is India's economic development from the year 1991 onwards. It is majority dependent upon the foreign direct investment. More foreign direct investment will result in more growth, economic growth for the country which is receiving it. That's why each and every country tries to attract more foreign direct investment in various sectors. The next one, balance of payments. Balance of payment is a statement with records of all monetary transactions made between residents of a country and the rest of the world during a given period. This statement includes all the transactions made by to individuals, corporates, and government, and helps in monitoring the flow of funds to develop the economy. When all the elements are correctly included in the balance of payments statement, it should sum up to zero in a perfect scenario, which is not at all possible in most of the cases. Always there will be a surplus balance of payment or a short deficit balance of payment. There will be, however, it does not ideally happen in most of. Then the next topic is regional economic integration and international business. Regional economic integration has enabled countries to focus on issues that are relevant to their stage of development as well as encourage trade between neighbors. There are four main types of economic integration. First one is a free trade area. This is the most common form of economic cooperation. Member countries remove certain barriers for a trade between themselves, but are free to independently determine trade policies with member nations. An example of this free trade area is NAFTA, that is North American Free Trade Agreement. And next one is a customs union. This type provides for economic cooperation as in a free trade zone. Barriers to trade are removed between member countries in this arrangement. Then the next one, next international regional agreement is common market. This type allows for the creation of economically integrated markets between member countries. Trade barriers are removed, as or any restrictions on the movement of labor, capital between the member countries are also removed in order to encourage member countries to have free flow of goods and services among them. Best example is a common market for Eastern and South Africa, that is COMESA. Then next one, economic union. This type is created when countries enter into an economic agreement to remove barriers to trade and adopt common economic policies between them. Then regional trade agreements. In every region we can find some kind of regional trade agreements in order to encourage the member countries to have better economic relationship between them. One such agreement is between the European Union member nations. The European Union was formed in 1993. It was built on the foundation of an earlier organization known as European Economic Community or Common Market. The European Union, which in 2009 included 27 member states, seeks to integrate the nations of Europe into a single market and economic system. European Union has abolished most tariffs and other barriers to trade among its members, and it has got its own currency euro in order to have free flow of goods and services and to reduce the problems which are faced due to difference in currencies and all. The next regional trade agreement is NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, signed in 1994. The unites the United States, Canada, and Mexico in a free trade zone. Under NAFTA, the three member countries agreed to eliminate most barriers to trade and investment. NAFTA has helped to boost trade and economic cooperation among the three member countries. Then international economic institutions. which are regulating or promoting or which are helpful in uh, encouraging economic development of underdeveloped or developing nations or three important organizations. First one is World Trade Organization, then International Monetary Fund, that is IMF, and then the World Bank. These organizations mainly concentrate on promoting development, providing financial and technical assistance to the member countries, providing loans, settle disputes, and facilitate agreement, and so on. These three international organizations help every country, either poor countries or rich countries, and they were conceived under the same institution and conference, Bretton Woods Conference in July 1944, called Bretton Woods Institutions. Bretton Woods Institution. Then the first one, World Trade Organization, is located in Geneva, Switzerland. The Uruguay round negotiations were formally signed in Marrakesh, Morocco on April 15, 1994, and then on 1st January 1995, the government folded the GATT, that is General Agreement on Trade and Tariff, into a newly established WTO, where it continues to provide many of rules governing international trade relations. Actually, GATT has been converted into WTO. Then IMF, International Monetary Fund, was conceived in July 1944. Then, when representatives of 45 countries meeting in the town of Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, and the northeastern United States agreed on a framework for international economic cooperation. IMF was created for international economic cooperation. IMF came into existence in December 1945, when 29 countries agreed to sign an article of agreement. IMF's member countries began to expand, and many African countries have become members in IMF. Though IMF enjoys its own sovereignty, but it is controlled by the UN. It follows the directives of UN, United Nations Organization. And let us see some questions and answers on international business. First one is the, see here, I have chosen some repeatedly asked questions from on the previous papers, and some famous text books on competitive exams, particularly NET set conducted by UGC, NTA. The first question is, which one is not the source of external finance? First one, there are four options here: WTO funds, World Bank Group, export credit, and foreign direct investment. Here we have to select the one which is not the source of external finance. Then the answer is WTO funds. Then the second question, which one is called Bretton Woods twins? See here, there are four options. First one is IBRD and IDA, IMF and IFC, IMF and IBRD, IDA and IFC. See, the answer is IMF and IBRD. That is, IBRD means International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. That is World Bank, otherwise called. These two organizations were created during the Bretton Woods conference. Then UNCTAD stands for United Nations Committee on Tariff and Development, United Nations Conference on Trade and Deficit, United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, United Nations Cause for Trade and Development. And the answer is United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, that is option C. Then next question, match the following: trade policy, trade flows, price trends, and internal sectoral linkages. Here four options are given: economic conditions, economic policies, global linkages, and structure and nature of economy. So after analyzing this, we can The answer for this question is option B, that is trade policy matches with economic policies, and then trade flows match with global linkages, and then fifth question, which one of the following is not a benefit of privatization? First one, encourage entrepreneurship. Second option, concentration of economic power. Then better management of enterprise, freedom from bureaucracy. The answer is option B, concentration of economic power. Then question 6, assertion A is given, and then to match with that reason is also given. We have to match, we have to find the correct combination. That is, operating style of international business can be spread to the entire globe. This is the assertion. The reason for this is the style is limited to the internal economy only. Both A and both assertion and reason are true. Then A is true but R is false. A is false but R is true. Both A and R are false. The answer is option B, that is A is true. Operating style of international business can be spread to the entire goal. But R is false, that is the style is limited to the internal economy only. Actually, it is not limited to the internal economy only. It applies to whole of the international economy. The comparative cost advantage theory was given by David Ricardo, Adam Smith, Raymond Vernon, Michael E. Porter. The answer is option A, David Ricardo. David Ricardo propounded the comparative cost advantage theory. Then question 8, the companies globalize their operations through different means: exporting directly, licensing, franchising, joint ventures. Then option D is all the above. So the right answer is option D, all the above. The components of WTO are Ministerial Conference, Dispute Settlement Body, Director General, all the above. Option D, all the above is correct. Then 10th question, India is not associated with SAARC. India is associated with SAARC, so this is not the option. Then NAFTA, North American Federation of Trade Agreement. Then BRICS, none of the above. So the option is B. India is not associated with NAFTA. Then the 11th question, which one of the following is true statement? We have to find out the true statement from the 4 options given. First one is a balance of trade deals with export and import of invisible items only. This is not true actually. Then B, option B, a balance of payment deals with both visible and invisible items. The current account is not a component of balance of payment. D, all the above. Option B is the answer here. Balance of payment deals with both visible and invisible items is the true statement. Then SDR are popularly known as currency notes, paper gold, silver coin, gold coin. The answer is option B, that is paper gold. SDRs are also called paper gold. Then 13th one, which one is not an international institution? That is IMF. IMF is an international institution. Then IDA is the IBRD, TRI. Here TRI is an Indian organization, Indian institution. So it is not an international institution. So option D is the answer. TRI. Then 14th one, which one of the statement is not true? We have to find out the statement which is not true. Institutional infrastructure facilitates market intelligence. STC is chief canalizing agency. And then IIPO organizes trade fairs in the exhibitions. Letter of credit does not indicate that the bank will pay the value of import to the exporter. answer D, option D is the answer. Letter of credit does not indicate that the bank will pay the value of imports to the exporter. Then 15th question, balance of payments can be made favorable if exports are increased, then imports are increased, devaluation of money. Then D, option D, A and C, that is exports are increased, devaluation of money. These are the two ways of uh, making the balance of payments favorable one. Then which one of the following is not the advantage of MNCs to host country? Increase in social activity, increase in economic activity, utilization of natural resources, R&D efforts enhanced. Option A is the answer, increase in social activity. Then 17th one, BRICS include Bhutan, Romania, Indonesia, Chile and South Korea, Brazil, Russia, Indonesia, Chile, Sudan, Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa, Britain, Russia, India, Czechoslovakia, Sri Lanka. The answer is C. We should always remember that India is a member of BRICS, so the option in which India appears is the answer for this question, that is option C. Which one is not an international organization? Here we have to find out an organization which is not international. SAARC is an international organization, ASEM is an international organization, ASEAN is also an international organization, whereas CBDT, Central Board of Direct Taxes, is an Indian organization which is meant for regulating the taxation system in our country. So this is not an international organization. So the answer for this question will be option D, CBDT. The 19th one, EPCG denotes export potential and credit guarantee, earning promotion credit guarantee, export promotion and credit guarantee, export potential and credit goods. The right answer is option C, export promotion and credit guarantee. Then the 20th question, the last question in this chapter, which one is not an objective of IMF, that is International Monetary Fund does not have an objective of this kind, that is to promote international monetary cooperation, to ensure balanced international trade, to finance productive efforts according to peacetime requirement, to ensure exchange rate stability. The right answer for this question is option C, to finance productive efforts according to peacetime requirement. Not only peacetime, and every kind of time during distress time also, IMF provides cooperation, it provides support, financing, etc. Thank you for watching.